He was one of the most recognizable children in America, his face smiling from magazine covers and television screens as part of a picture-perfect reality TV family. But behind the scenes, a story far darker and more complex was unfolding. Imagine being just a boy, thrust into the global spotlight, only to vanish from the public eye. Your absence explained away with vague statements about special needs. This was the reality for Collin Gosselin, one of the sextuplets from the hit show Jon Kate Plus 8. For years, the world asked, what happened to Collin? The official story was one of a troubled child needing help, but the truth, as it has slowly and painfully emerged, is a shocking saga of alleged abuse, institutionalization, and a family fractured beyond repair. The boy who disappeared is now a man, and he is finally telling his side of the story, a narrative of profound isolation and a desperate fight for freedom that promises to shatter everything you thought you knew about America's most famous reality TV family. Before the storm, the Gosselin family was the embodiment of a chaotic yet heartwarming American dream. Living in a sprawling Pennsylvania home, Jon Kate Gosselin and their 8 children, a set of twins and a set of sextuplets, were the stars of a show that captivated millions. Their lives were an open book, a seemingly unfiltered look at the challenges and joys of raising a supersized family. From birthday parties to family vacations, every moment was captured for the cameras. Collin, one of the livelier sextuplets, was a bright, curious boy, often seen playing with his siblings, a happy face in a bustling household. From the outside, it was a picture of normalcy, amplified by the surreal circumstances of their fame. The children's daily routines, their arguments, and their laughter were all packaged for public consumption, creating a powerful illusion of a happy, albeit hectic, family life. But this carefully curated the inciting incident, the moment Collin's story diverged so dramatically from his siblings, was not a single explosive event, but a slow, chilling disappearance. Around the age of 12, Collin vanished from the show. Fans noticed his absence immediately, and the questions began to mount. At first, his mother Kate offered vague explanations, stating that Collin had special needs and required enrollment in a program that could help him with his behavioral issues. She painted a picture of a difficult child who needed more than she could provide. For years, this was the accepted narrative. Collin was the problem child, sent away for his own good. But strange details began to emerge. His father, Jon, who was by then divorced from Kate and engaged in a bitter custody battle, claimed he didn't even know where his son was. Collin was effectively institutionalized, sent to the Fairmount Behavioral Health System, a psychiatric hospital in Philadelphia, allegedly without his father's knowledge. He was isolated not just from the public, but from his own family. The shocking truth began to unravel years later, in a climax that would reframe the entire saga. In 2018, after a long and arduous legal battle, Jon Gosselin was granted full custody of Collin and removed him from the facility. Finally free, Collin began to speak, and the story he told was horrifyingly different from the one his mother had presented. In a series of interviews and social media posts, Collin alleged that he was the victim of abuse at the hands of his mother. He claimed Kate had been physically aggressive and verbally very abusive, and that the narrative of his behavioral problems was a tool she used to isolate and punish him. He described being confined to a room in the basement, a windowless space with a bolt lock on the outside. The public had been told he was a troubled child. The reality, he claimed, was that he was a victim who had been silenced and sent away. He contended that his mother created a social divide between him and his siblings. The chain reaction of destruction that followed was the complete and utter fracturing of the Gosselin family. Collin's claims of abuse drove a permanent wedge between him and the rest of his family. Today, he and his sister Hannah, who also chose to live with their father, are estranged from their mother and their other 6 siblings. The public saw a family torn apart by divorce. The reality was a painful schism where siblings no longer speak, and a mother and son communicate only through cryptic public statements and legal channels. Collin has tearfully described not speaking to his siblings in 5 or 6 years, a gaping wound left by years of alleged alienation. For him, the loss was not just of his childhood, but of his entire family. He was an outsider in his own home, a pariah to his own blood. In the years since his release, the battle to control the narrative has played out in the public sphere. Collin, now a young adult, has taken to platforms like TikTok to share his side of the story, posting emotional messages about being forced apart and pitted against each other. He has spoken about the tears shed behind closed doors over the memories he could have shared with his siblings. Kate, in response, has largely remained silent, but occasionally offers cryptic rebuttals. When confronted with Collin's claims that she was the reason for the family's division, she simply commented, "He knows why." She maintains that Collin is a troubled young man with a history of behavior and violent tendencies, a narrative that continues to place the blame squarely on him. For every claim Collin makes, a counter-narrative of his supposed instability is presented, leaving the public caught in a tragic he said, she said between a mother and her estranged son. Today, long after the cameras have stopped rolling, Collin Gosselin is trying to build a life for himself out of the wreckage of his past. He has pursued a career in the military and, more recently, started his own power washing business, all while attending college. He is forging his own path, independent of the family that made him famous, but the scars of his childhood remain. In a major step toward reclaiming his story, he has announced that he is writing a memoir, a chance to finally tell his truth in his own words. He remains hopeful for a future where he might one day reconnect with his siblings, but the chasm remains vast. His journey is a testament to resilience, a story of a young man fighting to define himself outside the shadow of a reality TV empire that gave him everything, and then took it all away. His experience leaves us with a haunting question. What is the true price of fame, and who ultimately pays it?